Well, I get a call October 30th, Halloween night, from my older brother saying, hey, are you somewhere you can talk? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I gotta tell you, Mom was just killed. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, Mom and her other son, Shane, my younger brother, were murdered.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Oberembt, and you're listening to Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. We talk about real shit, what's on our minds, and don't give a fuck if it makes you feel a little uncomfortable. So sit back, strap in, and get ready for some real shit. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Oberembt. I am thrilled to announce our new sponsor, SMA Support Services. Huge shout out to them for supporting the mission of keeping it real and cutting through the noise and the bullshit. SMA Support Services doesn't just back our show. They're about leveling up business efficiency and making sure companies have the support that they need to thrive. So thank you, SMA Support Services, for making this episode possible. We are here today with a guest that I literally met yesterday. I really enjoy these kind of conversations. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but this gentleman came up to me after we got done filming an interview and really just came to me and was like, "Hey, this is the thing that I do. Is this something that might interest you? Is this something that your listeners might be interested in?" And I'll be honest, that happens quite a bit, and my 99.9% of the time answer is like, nah man, like fucking get a hold of my assistant, I'll send you a fucking inquiry thing and we can have a conversation later. But you really intrigued me with what you had to say, and what you stand for and what you're doing to help people, and just in your past, in your history. It's very interesting because it's not a world that I ever lived in, and there's always a little bit of I don't want to call it like shame or regret, but like there's a weird feeling there. We'll dig into that a little bit, but there's like a weird feeling for people that didn't serve or didn't do things that other people did, and sacrificed, and that others didn't, and that it's an interesting dichotomy with that. And so anyway, but nonetheless, I want to introduce my guest today, Matthew Dolley. Matthew, thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely, I appreciate you.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a good time. So we'll see how this goes. And like I tell everybody, when I bring people on that I don't know really well, I do it because I see something in them that I'm like, what I hope happens is I get to have a conversation with somebody. It's more than just a weird little conversation on the floor of like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then we leave and we never fucking speak to each other again. My intention is always like, I really hope that I like this guy. We get done and like we further a conversation in a relationship because of the conversation that we got to have here today, because we have half an hour, 45 minutes of like undivided attention of like getting to know each other and getting to know each other's stories, right? And that's fun. Like that's fun to me, right? Like my buzzword for the last couple of years has been connection, and like I want to figure out how to help people find that more. So that's my intention here today. So tell everybody really quick who you are and kind of what you do, so they got your backstory real fast, and then we'll kind of dig into some of the other stuff. Yeah.
So I'm a VP of roofing for APCO Group. We're a general contractor for multifamily commercial side. Lately, I've just been traveling a lot, meeting a lot of new people, building relationships and stuff like that. I've been in the industry for over 15 years. It's honestly the first job I ever had was roofing. 15 years old, no one's really going to judge you for kicking down walls and throwing shingles off of a roof, so it was just easy, quick money. Growing up, it was a rough upbringing, to say the least. My father was a alcoholic abuser, and I was 9 years old when my dad laid into me really hard, and it was the first time they actually took me out of the home, so I was in foster care from there on. My dad, 9 years old, my dad broke 6 of my ribs, my jaw, and my nose.
Holy shit. Where was your mom? Was she there?
My mom, that's a whole nother story.
Okay, all right.
My mom, so I know.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. When I was a baby, my mom just left me and dropped me off with my dad. When I was a child, my dad told me my mom was dead. So this whole time, like growing up, I never knew who she was or anything about her, but I had these random pictures that I would find of me sitting with her as a baby and stuff like that, so I knew what she looked like. And then the day I turned 18, I met her.
Oh.
She came back. Apparently she moved to Colorado, then moved to Oregon, and then moved to Florida. She had 2 other kids outside of me and my older brother. My older brother, I hadn't seen him since I was 3. But I met her because I ran into people that I was related to on her side, and they're like, yeah, your mom is still around. And I was like, what? Like, yeah, she's still around. So I never knew that. And then I finally got to meet her, and it was just like one of those things, like I had so much anger.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff that I went through growing up, like everybody in the neighborhood knew it. My dad was a feared person. My dad is a massive man, and he just looks at you and you're intimidated just by the way he was. And it wasn't one of those things where you can really tell him, like, hey, you need to stop hitting your kid. No, he's going to do it, and then he's going to hit you. That's just the way he was. He was a very aggressive person. And as I grew older, it was like there was a lot of stuff that he never unpacked from his time in the service and other stuff, and then the alcohol on top of that it just amplified everything.
Sure. Hey everybody, we're going to take a quick little break here. I want to stop and thank our new sponsor. If you're serious about getting your time back and scaling your business, then SMA Support Services is your secret weapon. I use SMA for all of our support and admin tasks. Everything from back office management, day-to-day admin, even a call center. Their team frees up my staff to stay focused on high-level, revenue-generating activities. And that, let me tell you, is a fucking game changer. SMA isn't just support. They're a partner that keeps our operations running smooth and efficiently. So if you want to focus on growing your business and leave the support work to the pros, hit up SMA Support Services.
But yeah, so my mom, when I first met her, when I was 18, she's like, hi, I'm your mom. I was like, no, you're not. You're not at all.
Was there another female in your life?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Nope. I was just, in my mind, like I had this vision of what a mom should be. And for her, it was just like so different because she abandoned me. Yeah. And she tried for years to rebuild it. And I regretted it and pushed away. And then 2016, it would be the first Thanksgiving I was supposed to spend with her. Me and my older brother were supposed to meet for the first time for a long time. And
half brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was her son.
Yeah.
When he was younger, he went with his dad too. And we were all going to go to my mom's house for Thanksgiving. Well, I get a call October 30th, Halloween night, from my older brother saying, hey, are you somewhere you can talk? And I was like, yeah. He's like, gotta tell you, mom was just killed. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, mom and her other son, Shane, my younger brother, were murdered. So,
Jesus Christ.
Dude, yeah, that was like for me, it was like I took too long to get to know her.
Right.
And now I have no opportunity to get to know her. So I guess there was a home invasion. Not sure the whole details of it. I think my brother was into drugs.
Okay.
And they broke into the house and tried to steal, and she wouldn't allow it, and then they shot both of them. Killed them.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And this is, you were 18, 19, 20 years old?
No, this was 2016.
Oh, you had a big stretch.
Yeah, of me not wanting to speak to her.
Oh, wow.
Blaming her for everything.
Oh,
and then
shit.
that year was the first year I was like, all right, we can try. Like, I want a relationship. And she pushed, like, for years, she pushed to have a relationship with me. She apologized a million times.
How old are you now?
I'm 36.
Okay, all right.
She apologized a million times, and I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's too late for that, you know?
Right.
And, but that year was the first year we were actually going to have a real, like, relationship together.
Wow.
So it's surreal to me when I go home and I see people that are part of that side of the family, and they're like, I want you to know, like, your mom's proud of you. Like, she would be so proud of you. Because, like, all the other kids that are around and stuff, she sees everybody else, but with what you grew up with, what you turned into, she's proud of you. So that means a lot to me.
Sure.
But I always have that remorse and regret that I never gave it the opportunity when she was here.
Sure. So when did you go into the military?
I joined the military after 2 years in college. I played football at the University of Pittsburgh for 2 years.
Oh, okay. What'd you play?
Outside linebacker and quarterback.
Okay.
So I was
what?
Quarterback. I was a dual threat.
Oh, wow.
But I tore my rotator cuff and tore my labrum and a bunch of other things in my shoulder my sophomore year in a football game. And for me, I was never a bench person. I never sat the bench. So when you're injured in college and you're on a full ride, like, you don't travel with the team. Like, you stay there. You're not on the sideline. You're up in the box. For me, I've never been second string. I've never been on the sideline. I'm like, it messed with me mentally.
Sure.
And like growing up, I never had the real understanding of how to deal with that crap. So yeah, I ended up losing my scholarship, got kicked out of school, went with the wrong crowd, and I was like, hey, I got to figure something out. I was sleeping on a buddy's couch, like I had nowhere to go. And he's like, dude, let's go join the Army. I was like, Army? All right, screw it, let's go. So we went down there to join the Army, and we both looked at each other as the Marine recruiter walked in and was talking shit. Oh my God, he was talking crap to him. He was making fun of his uniform, making fun of everything, and I'm just sitting there. This dude's in dress blues, and I'm like, I think I need to go talk to this guy first. So we literally walked out and walked over to his office, signed up that day, left a month later for boot camp.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd you go to boot camp?
Parris Island.
Okay.
Real Marines.
Real Marines.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
So there's 2 different boot camps. You got Parris Island and Pendleton.
Okay.
Pendleton is called Hollywood Marines because it's on the West Coast. They're always going to be called Hollywood Marines.
Really?
Real Marines come out of Parris Island.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you see a difference in the people?
I mean, do you see a difference in the people in the East Coast and the West Coast?
Yes.
Because the majority of the people on the West Coast go to that one.
Okay.
2 different type of lifestyle. Like, yeah, you have it's like a divide straight down the center of the United States. Half will go this way.
It is.
Half will go that way.
Okay. That's how they do that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So then that was what year?
That was 2007.
2007.
December
Okay.
of 2007.
And so then obviously you got deployed.
Yeah, so I was in the fleet after I went through boot camp. Went to the fleet. I deployed like a month, maybe
What's
a month
the
or 2
fleet?
later. The fleet is at your unit.
Okay.
So my original job in the Marine Corps when I first signed up, I had no idea. It's called a combat engineer.
Okay.
No idea what
I will
that
ask
was.
a lot of dumb questions because
No,
I don't
no,
know
you're
all
fine.
the fucking acronyms
Oh, yeah.
and all the you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, bear with me.
So my first job was combat engineer. No idea what it's supposed to be. Like, yeah, you're going to be helping out with construction projects, stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. He's a kid. No, I was the guy with the headset on and the ID monitors, the ground penetrating radar, finding IEDs in the middle of the road. That was my job.
Really?
When I first joined. It is that and the EOD techs. We worked together on finding these bombs and detonating. So it's a very high death rate in what it is. I mean, we lost a bunch of people. So my first deployment was in 2008, and then I did a deployment in 2009 to Marja, push a Marja.
Okay.
Great. Look it up on YouTube. You can. There's awesome videos about it. Marja was one of the craziest things for me because I've never really been in that type of adversity. But being over there and seeing the stuff that you see, it's just like we live in the greatest place in the world.
Right.
Like we are so lucky to do this.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so I deployed then. Then I had the indoc system for Raiders. So the Marine Raider Battalion was started as the cohesion part of what the Navy SEALs are, but for the Marines, because it used to be Force Recon for the Marines, and then they pushed it and wanted it more specialized. So I got to do an indoc system with that, and I was always that kid. I wanted to run in the woods with a stick and think I was freaking Rambo.
Right.
But I fell in love with it. And I had so much fun. I ended up passing that, and then I've always been really good with shooting. I wasn't a hunter as a kid, never shot as a kid. It was just, I don't know, I took to it really well.
Natural, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It could be kind of creepy.
I mean, considering where you went into, I'd say it's a good thing, yeah.
And I ended up getting an opportunity to go sniper school.
Okay.
And I loved it. That was the greatest thing in the world. And people ask me today, do you regret joining? I was like, no, it was the greatest thing I ever did in my life.
Why?
Because I would never be who I am if it wasn't for the Marine Corps. And the reason I say that is I didn't have the father figure that I should have had, the leadership I should have had growing up.
Yeah.
When I went to boot camp, I was a cocky college football player.
Right. Oh, shit, yeah.
I had I didn't care about anything at that time.
Right.
These dudes beat the ever-loving crap out of me to get me back to a normal, what I should be in society. And it changed my perspective on absolutely everything that I do. Everybody has a preference about how they dress. My presentation is the most important thing to me. If I don't even have a chance to speak to you, you're going to remember what I look like when I walk in a room. That's just, I'm 6'3", 6'4". I've always been that way. I'm a tall figure. I'm a big guy. So I make it known when I'm around.
Right.
The Marine Corps kind of instilled that confidence in me that I never had before. I was confident on a football field. That was easy.
Right.
But in reality, I was not. I couldn't talk to women.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was the most horrible thing in the world. I actually went on a golf trip a week or two ago, and I completely forgot how to talk to them. 100%, and my buddies were making fun of me the entire time. The girl walks up and she's like, "Hi, what's your name?" I'm from, I think she's from she said she was some foreign place, and she's like, where are you guys from? And this is in Myrtle Beach, and I was like, America. she goes, okay. And
America.
everybody, I just didn't know what to say. I was just like, oh my God, someone's talking to me.
America.
Yeah.
That's fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been out of the game for so long, it's just like, I don't really got to impress anybody anymore, so.
Right. Were you married?
I'm married now, yeah.
Oh, you're married now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Been married for 2 years. We have 2 beautiful kids.
Nice.
A 6-year-old boy who is nuts, absolutely nuts. And then we have a 6-month-old daughter.
Good for you. What are their names?
Easton and Harper.
Nice. Very good. That's awesome.
Easton just finished his first year of full baseball.
Oh, really?
Yeah, won the championship. League
Nice.
championship.
That's fun to watch, isn't it?
Oh, God. I was coaching.
Oh, were you?
Oh, my God. I was the loudest person out there.
Yeah. My daughter started playing soccer a few years ago, and my wife played college soccer, and she was really good. So Tegan started playing and made her first comp team this year at 9. And then my wife started coaching. We got the head coach to let her start coaching with her. And it's just, I never realized how much fun I'd have, because I'm always the one that I want to play, right? Like, I want to be in the fucking middle of it. I want to be able to dictate the outcome, right? Like when I played baseball, I pitched, right? Because I felt like I could, like, if anything happened bad on that field, it was my fault. Right? I should have thrown a better pitch.
So I was with catcher. I was a catcher my entire life.
Yeah. And you could have called a better game. You could have, like, I wanted to have that, like, if we lost, it's my fault. Yeah. Right? Like, I wanted to own that fucking thing. But to watch and, like, not be able to control any of it, I'm like, oh, fuck. But it's so cool to watch them, like, start growing and doing that thing, right?
It was big for me because this is the first year that I actually got a chance to coach him.
Yeah.
Because before it was T-ball. T-ball's a different animal. The kids are running around like crazy. But with him, it was like, it was the proudest moments of my life. I mean, I love the little boy to death. But the first 4 games, he struck out every time at bat.
Oh, that's hard.
And it was so hard. But at home and in practice, I mean, he kills the ball. He's so excited.
Right.
But to see the demeanor on his face, like he was so upset.
Yeah.
And then the end of the season, every single game, he got on base 3-4 times.
Right.
And it was awesome to me that parents walked up to me after the season. They're like, where did he come from?
Right.
What happened? I was like, I don't know. He really dedicated to it.
He showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he showed up.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That is awesome. So, hold on. I want to get back to this. So, because these things that you have here are pretty amazing resume, if you will, right? But it also leads to the hard.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've got here written down that you sent me. Retired Marine, Raider Scout Sniper. What's Raider Scout? Is that just the...
Raider is the Raider Battalion, Marine
Okay.
Special Operations,
Okay.
and then your Scout Sniper is your job title.
Got it.
So
Okay.
17, which
and
they
then
don't even have anymore.
12 deployments? How
So
long is a deployment?
They were different for me. It was 90 days on, 30 days off, 30 days on, 90 days off.
Got it. Okay.
So, and I didn't have mom, dad, family, wife, kids. I mean, I dated strippers when I was in the Marine Corps.
Got it.
Didn't have any responsibility, so I deployed as much as possible.
Got it. Because I was showing this to a buddy of mine, and he's like, 12 fucking deployments. He's like, I think that guy might be fucking full of shit. Like, you want to ask him some more fucking questions.
So when I communicate that, I always try to say it's installations. Like, I've left the country 12 times.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, and they're shorter. They're not long. Yeah. So 2 Purple Hearts.
Yeah.
Here was the one that I wanted to hear a story about that hopefully you'll be willing to share. But Bronze Star with Valor.
Oh. So in 2000...
Because my understanding is that getting the V, that's the fucking story.
Yeah, so
correct?
I did... in 2011, my team was tasked with going to find a high-value target and bringing them back. So we went out and we were in a valley and we got hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
We had multiple casualties and we were pinned down. We were running out of ammo. And then in the middle of the night, we took more fire and it was me and one other person, and I would run over to the bodies, pick them up, firemen's carry them, put them behind a berm, go back out, try and get their serialized gear. My last time going out there to pick someone up, it was one of the guys that was alive, I ended up getting attacked from behind, and I didn't have my rifle on me. I didn't have anything because I'm carrying these guys.
Right.
So it was a hand-to-hand combat, and it was either me or him. So luckily, I'm here.
Yeah.
So my training...
I know who won.
my training paid off.
Right.
And for me, it was like, I guess that was a really surreal moment for me. Like, I've never had face-to-face had to deal with that with someone. I'm through a scope.
You're a sniper.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
Right.
But for that, I ended up picking them up, bringing them all back. We had multiple survivors, and then we had multiple casualties. For me, it was the Bronze Star thing came in when I got injured. It was like a disregard. The big thing is it was disregard for my own self and what I was doing because I was trying to save them. I went back to get someone's weapon. You know anything about the Marine Corps? If you leave your weapon, your life is over. Like you're gonna be reprimanded forever. So I went back to get some stuff and I stepped in on an IED. It was an offset pressure plate, thank God, but it blew me like 130 feet.
What does that mean, offset pressure
so
plate?
A pressure plate, you have what you step on that triggers it, and then you have the explosive. So if it's underneath, it's not offset. If it's off to the side, because they were looking for like a vehicle to hit it.
Oh.
So they started doing that. They started putting them in tire tracks. And putting the explosive right next to it or off to the side, so it would blow straight up underneath the vehicle. But I stepped on that.
And it blew you 130 feet?
Yeah.
And you is that your leg?
So I have.
Sorry, I don't know if that's the way to ask it, but fucking, you got jeans on.
Yeah. So I have all my parts.
Okay.
All my parts are here. Everything works. But I've had 27 surgeries. Both of my shins are steel rods. I have 2 pins in both of my femurs. I have 6 fusions in my spine, 2 in my neck. I have anchors in every major joint in my body. So when it blew me, I shattered both of my tibias, fractured both of my fibulas, crushed 6 vertebrae, had 2 slipped ones in my neck, and then I hit my head so hard that I had an aneurysm. So I was in an induced coma for 30 days. I woke up, I had no idea what happened at that point. I was in an induced coma.
What's the last thing you remember?
Running.
Running?
That was the last thing I remembered.
Where were you running?
To get the gear.
Oh, so you don't remember stepping anything. This is just all what's been told to you.
I just took off. Everything is being told to me. Everything that I have and know about after is what was
So you
told
remember running to get the gear.
Yep, and that waking up.
And waking up.
I woke up. It was cool for me because I woke up in Oberembt, Germany, and General Amos was the one standing there. So General Amos is he's my favorite commandant of the Marine Corps. He's one of the most personal people I've ever met in my life, and I've got to meet him a couple times after that. He was actually in an event in Charlotte like 5-6 years later, and he was speaking, and I was in the back, and I walked up to say hi to him, and I had pulled the picture up with me and him together. And I was like, I'm going to show you this picture, and he's like, Mr. Dolley. I was like, what? He's like, I know who you are. I was like, how do you, out of all the Marines you meet,
yeah, right.
How do you remember me? He's like, I know you. He's like, I never, anybody that's laid down like that for anybody, I will remember your name completely.
Wow.
So yeah, he's an awesome dude.
So how long did that take to recover?
A year. So there was a nerve that was severed in my lower back that I had feeling, but not like mobile feeling in my lower body.
Yeah.
So I did a nerve graft, and that took forever to happen. But I tell people the greatest feeling I've ever had in my life is when they ran that pen on the bottom of my foot, and I could feel it through everything.
And that took how long though? A year?
That was about 6 months. 6 months after it happened.
Fuck.
And then I was laid up in a hospital bed. It sucked.
I mean, how like, did you have hope?
I guess I'm more of a, like, I've always been someone, like, I'm going to put in the work, you're never going to outwork me mindset.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to wait on me. I've never had people wait on me growing up, so I've had to fight for everything that I had. So that, I guess that kind of helped push me along.
So you had the mindset of like, I'm not giving up regardless. I'm just going to keep working until something fucking works.
Yeah.
Right?
I had a doctor tell me once after everything, and I started learning, like, you have to teach yourself to walk again after not being able to walk that long.
Right.
It's like a mind over body thing. And that's anybody that has to do that, dude, that's the hardest thing ever.
I can't imagine.
Oh my gosh, because you're telling your body what to do, but it's not doing what you're telling it to do.
That's got to be fucking infuriating.
It is. I can't tell you how many times I yelled at the nurses.
I bet.
And all they're doing is just trying to help.
Help you.
But,
Yeah.
But I just lost my train of thought there.
Rehab, a year, felt the feeling in your toe.
Yeah, so when they felt the feeling in the toe,
foot, yeah.
a full year later, I was able to walk and move mobily by myself. And then I was in the Wounded Warrior Battalion with the VA. Then got medically separated, 100% disabled for the rest of my life. They're paying for my health care forever, which I'm happy about. Not the greatest health care, but
right.
It's there.
Yeah.
After that, I got out, and I really didn't know what to do with my life. I was like, all right, let's figure something out. So I went back to school. And this is at UNCW, which is right down there, right below Camp Lejeune, where I was based at.
Okay.
I made a lot of friends down there, but I was partying like crazy. I was like hiding the pain that I already had, because a year year and a half prior to that, I lost half my team.
Right.
Yeah, so I
Was it your team? Like, were you the?
No, I wasn't the leader of the team.
Okay.
But I don't even think we want to say there was a leader. It was just when you hit a team.
Yeah.
You're brothers. It's just
right.
Everybody
Of course.
helps everybody.
Yeah. I didn't mean it that way. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah.
There's a hierarchy, but it's no one listens to it. It's more of a respect level thing.
Yeah. Well, how what losing that many guys in that moment? Like, did it take till you started recovering to like start letting that soak in?
No, it was when I started drinking that it soaked in. Because
okay.
My brain, I refused to allow it to happen. I tried to compartmentalize all of it.
Got it.
Because I didn't want to think about it. And then that's in 2013.
But then the booze fucking opened it up.
I drank so much, and it was bad. And I was on pills. The VA would give me sleeping pills. You remember Freddy Krueger?
I do.
You remember the scenes where the kids are all dead asleep with the things on their mask, and they're being pumped with medicine?
Yeah.
It's called amitriptyline. It's the strongest sleeping pill there is, and I was on 175 milligrams.
Really?
Every single night. So
that you could sleep because of the pain, or just because you couldn't sleep?
I couldn't sleep at all. I still have sleeping issues today, but it's not as bad as it was. Like I would be up for 72 hours straight.
Because you couldn't shut your brain off?
I didn't want to close my eyes. Some of the things you do and you see.
Yeah.
It's
and then you just see it.
Yeah. So for me, it was stay up, get drunk, party.
Yeah. And that's got to happen a lot, right? With a lot of guys.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest struggles with the VA is like they're making massive strides to get more help, and now they have the outside care where you can go out and get therapy from someone else. I tried to do therapy when I got out, and I lost my mind on the therapist. It was a guy that he was in the Army. He's a doctor that was in the Army. He's a psychologist. Never seen combat, never was deployed, nothing like that. But he's spoken to a lot of veterans, and he made a comment to me in our conversation. He's like, well, I served too, but I'm still willing to do this. And I was like, dude, you have no freaking clue. Like, the way you served, no. You didn't serve. You served, but you didn't see the crap that me and these guys went through.
Yeah.
And for him to like kind of compare his service to mine, that ticked me off so much. So I just yelled at him, got up and walked out, never went back to therapy. And then that's when it really, really spiraled. I started drinking a crap ton and doing stupid stuff, and I was fighting all the time.
Yeah.
Only thing I knew to do to get the anger out. And in 2013, I was in a bad relationship, and I made the decision to take my life. And for me, that was like, it sucks to say it, but when you're at that point, the only thing going through your head is everything's going to go away when I do this.
Right.
No more pain. No one has to deal with me anymore. No one has to have these issues with me anymore. Everything goes away when I do this. So I tried. And I woke up.
How'd you try?
I downed the pills and tried to shoot myself. Entire bottle of amitriptyline.
Okay.
And I woke up in a hospital. And
how'd you try to shoot yourself?
Put it here. Went straight through. Right through the back of my head.
So it did fire.
Yes.
And where did you put it?
I shoved it all the way back in my mouth.
Okay.
I said if it would have just been the tip right here, there's no way I'd be here because of the splatter. But because it was shoved completely back in my mouth, like all the way back, it was touching the back part of my throat, and it just went straight through. Didn't touch anything.
The fuck out of here.
The doctor, he straight up pulled me aside. He's like, dude, you realize you're not supposed to be here. He's like, no one does that. I was like, I guess. Like, it was like, for me, I failed at that too, so I didn't really.
So that was going to be my next question, because I had somebody on like a month or two ago that had a similar story, right, and tried to commit suicide, and I didn't even know how to ask the question, and I was really glad he didn't get upset when I asked it this way, but I had to ask. I was like, when you came to, there's two emotions or two feelings that you could have, and one is elation that you're not dead, or two is, man, I can't even fucking kill myself right.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And that's what it was for that guy,
what
too.
I felt like. And it sucked.
I'm really a failure.
Yeah. For me, it was like, that was my last straw. I was ready just to end everything and not be here anymore. And when I woke up, I had all these people standing around me, and I had people that showed up from school, from college. They found out what happened, and they showed up at my bedside.
Really?
Yeah. And I still have a framed picture of the note that these two buddies that I have, still friends with them today, they wrote me and sat next to the bed when I was sleeping when they came to see me. I had framed it because they were by my side through everything after that. So
wow.
It kind of took me under the wing.
Like old buddies or like combat buddies? Like
random guys I met in college.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I've never been a fraternity guy.
Yeah.
UNCW, that's what you got. You got fraternities and baseball.
Yeah.
So we were at a beach party, and I met these guys out there, and I have a massive tattoo on my back, USMC with a red, white, and blue bandana over a skull, all this stuff. These guys walk up like, oh, you're in the military, that's all, and we just hit it off from there, and we became friends. It wasn't like an everyday seeing these guys thing, but the fact that they knew who I was, they knew what happened, they showed up regardless. We've been friends ever since.
Wow. So what was the recovery like from that?
So
did we ever get back to therapy, Matthew?
So I had to do inpatient psychological treatment,
okay.
Which was the craziest thing because they take like everything from you when you walk in there. The shorts, the gym shorts we had, they had to cut out the string. Like it was my first time ever having to deal with something like that.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like there were so many people screaming at night in there, like yelling. And
it was like a nut hut war.
And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want this life.
No.
I don't want this life. And then I met a guy after. He looked at me dead in the eyes, and he's like, dude, I know your story. I've known you forever, but I got to tell you something. He's like, you can either be a statistic of everything that you have gone through. Is the typical person going up in foster care with no parental supervision or anything like that, you can end up in jail on drugs or dead. It's like you can either be a statistic of your surroundings or you can be the exception and just not fucking stop.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like a charge. I was like, all right, I got to do something.
That was kind of the aha moment.
Yeah. So I was like, I got to do something. I mean, you'd think my aha moment would be the amount of times I survived death, but
no. I mean, my moments don't compare, but they're not, right? Like I obviously, I mean, you don't know anything about me, but like I'm raging alcoholic, like been sober for 15 years, but like when I was in the depths of my addiction, I fucking woke up going 95 miles per hour in my truck, drove into the back of a semi. I should be dead, right? 2 years later, woke up going 85 miles an hour, drove into the back of a semi, fucking put the truck up on 2 fucking wheels, don't wear seatbelts, like should have went through the fucking windshield and somehow stopped myself like this and like just cracked. Like all I had to put in was like one thing in my wrist there. Should be dead, right? But none of that stopped me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? None of that stopped me. When I got arrested the last time and went to jail and was looking at 1 to 5 years in prison, as soon as I got out, I went right fucking back to doing exactly what I was fucking doing. Right?
So what was it that changed it though?
It was when it was. It's not that exciting of a story, but like I used to party and drink and do coke with my lawyer, and he came to me and he said, "Look," he goes, "you're looking at 1 to 5 years in prison. The only chance you have of not going to prison for a long, extended period of time is if you try to at least go to treatment, go to a rehab facility." And I was like, okay, well, I'll do that. I went to the rehab just for the sole reason of trying to get out of consequences, right? Significant consequences at least. And when it took me about, I was there for a month, and it took about a week and a half to 2 weeks to like come out of the fog that I was in. And I was sitting in a room where they do lectures or whatever, and like something happened and like my eyes kind of opened up and I like looked around the room and I saw these cups on the wall and these plates and shit.
What the fuck am I doing here?
And I literally out loud went, "Holy fuck, I'm in rehab." and like the room stopped and looked at me like, this motherfucker's crazy. And like in that moment, I literally just realized normal people don't go to rehab. So there's clearly something fucking wrong with you. So maybe you should shut the fuck up and listen a little bit and see what they have to say. And so I had this switch just kind of happen, and I was like, I'm going to open the door, a little bit of willingness to listen to what they have to say and see if it is applicable, and I'll go from there, right? And I finished out the last couple of weeks, and I went home, and I remember my buddy who I used to buy fucking pounds of fucking coke from, right, so I could go sell it, came up and he looked at me and he goes, "So are you coming back out with us, or are you gonna try this sobriety thing?" And I was like, you know what? Give me a month. I go, give me a month. I go, I'm gonna try it for a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I fucking hate it, I go, I'll be right back out with you guys. I'm like, but give me a month and we'll see what happens. And I gave it a month, and I, did the deal, and I found a sponsor, and, I found people that like actually gave a fuck about what happened to me. Like your story, right? Like you find these people and you didn't realize that like people actually care what happens to you.
Yeah.
And that's how that's how my life changed, right? Is that all of a sudden I was like, there's these people that have been through the same thing that I've been through, and we can actually talk about it. We can laugh about it eventually, right? We can be okay with it, and I can do these things that'll make me a better human now as well. Oh, and then when I get a little bit further along, guess what I get to do? I get to help other people do the same fucking thing.
That's what it's all about.
Right? And so, and I know that that's, part of your story as well, which I was trying to lead into a little bit, but like, that's where the gratification comes from, right? But when you were telling the story about the therapist, right, and like he hadn't been through what the fuck you'd been through, there was nothing more infuriating about going to a rehab where they have a counselor who fucking went to school to learn about addiction, right, and then is trying to tell you what to do. And I'm like, bitch, how much coke have you done? I've never touched it. I'm like, fuck you then. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear what you have to say. And then I'd get mad because somebody that was in my patient group had one of the counselors that was a fucking addict. And I'm like, no, I want that guy. Like, I want to talk to that guy because he gets it, right? Like, he's fucking sold everything in his house to go get another fucking bag so he can stay high that night, right? Like, that's the guy that fucking understands it, right? And when you were telling that story, I was like, oh, man, like, I get that. Because you want to talk to somebody that's been through the same shit that you've been through, because then you'll actually listen to him, right? You'll listen and be like, oh, well, he's doing pretty well now. Maybe I should shut the fuck up and listen. I keep saying that, by the way, just so you know, because I literally am writing my book right now, and it's called Shut the Fuck Up and Listen.
I was talking to somebody about that last night, and I was like, yeah, he's an author, he's this, that, and the other, and he's writing a book. Oh, what's his book? I was like, Shut the Fuck Up and Listen. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, that's the book.
That's the book. But not, like, it's been part of my lexicon for so long, but now I catch myself, and I'm like, fuck, I say that a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's appropriate in almost every setting. Because people don't do that because they might not trust the person that they're talking to, right? And so I think that's why I want you to talk about what you're doing now to help people, because that's what we need more of.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, on a communication scale, like I was listening to you guys yesterday over at Bell and the Tool Belt.
Oh, yes.
And y'all brought up the communication and actually just being quiet and actually investing your time into understanding what the person's saying rather than thinking about the next thing that's going to come out of your mouth. Like interviews, that's one of that happens so much. Interviews aren't fun. They're never going to be fun unless you make them fun.
Right.
If you involve yourself, like I can read your resume every day.
Right.
I read them all the time. I want to know you. I want to know what you're going to bring to me outside of your resume, the culture you're going to bring, the type of person you're going to be working for the staff here, whatever it is.
Yes.
And you guys hit the nail on the head. Like, you just shut up and just listen to them. Ask them about their life, not about their background, whatever it is. But for me, so getting on to what I do now with veterans, like when I made the decision, like there's veterans out there that struggle worse than me, that are going through a heck of a lot more than me. And I'm like, if I can prove to myself I can do this, then I know I can help somebody else do the same damn thing.
Yeah.
So I met a doctor and he's like, look, I know you don't like sitting in front of therapy and stuff like that because I hated talking about my stuff. I don't want people to know I didn't want people to know my pain, like the things that I was going through, because I feel like people would look at you different.
Yeah.
Like knowing your background, like, oh, he tried to commit suicide.
Feel sorry for you.
Yeah. I hate that.
Yeah.
I never want someone to feel sorry for me.
Right.
For me, it was, he goes, he's like, I want you to try cognitive therapy. Oh. I didn't know what it was, so I did some research, and I'm very much a structured, like step-by-step.
I know what it is because I watch Criminal Minds. So like, and I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, so I know exactly what fucking cognitive therapy is, but go on.
I never heard of it before, never got into it, and then when he started doing that, it was like I was able to remind myself every day that I'm going to get better. Yeah. I'm going to get better.
Because tell everybody what cognitive therapy is.
So it's a thought process. Yep. It's you training yourself, like writing a message on your mirror every morning you know you're going to see.
Right.
A positive message. Shit like that. Like that's important. Like for me, when I was doing it, I had an alarm in my phone every day at noon to take a second, think about think about the things I'm happy for and think about the things I'm proud of in my life and where I want to be, and then just continue on about your day. So for me, it was like it's consistency. Once you do something for a certain amount of time, it becomes a repetition.
It becomes a habit.
Yeah. So for me, it was I would write a message on my mirror in my bathroom, and it said, "You will do this. You will get better." And it was just, "You will, you will, you will." And that was my thing. Like everything I did, I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. You're not stopping me.
Right.
So, and my worst enemy was always myself. I never accepted like I could. I never wanted to face the problem.
Right.
But now with veterans, you got these guys out there that are begging for therapy and begging for help. And now that the VA is allowing them to seek other things.
When did that change?
5-6 years ago.
Okay.
So before it was you had to go to the VA for absolutely everything. You couldn't be outsourced because they wouldn't pay for it.
Right.
Even if you went to the emergency room, you would pay for it.
Oh.
If you were full covered by the VA, you would pay for it. So they changed it. It's called the Choice Program. And what they do is like it could be anything from dental to psychological therapy. You go in, you make a request. The problem with the VA back then was the majority, and I hate to say it, but the majority of people that worked at the VA as doctors didn't get in anywhere else. They were the lowest scoring, like because they're getting paid crap to be there.
Yeah.
So they didn't get residency anywhere else. So they're there. Like I had a doctor, I don't want to say her name, but she was the worst I've ever seen in my life, and it was crazy because like 2 years into her being my doctor, I met somebody and we were arguing back and forth on whose doctor was worse. Turns out it was the same damn doctor.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. She got fired. She got fired. So I've been with the same psychologist at the VA. He's the director of psychology over there now. I see him every 90 days now. But he was the one I went to and I was like, dude, this needs to change. Because I tore my knee up real bad playing slow pitch softball because I'm an idiot. And I'm getting old.
Yeah.
And my knee was like massive. And I called in and I was like, hey, I need an x-ray or an MRI. And they're like, oh, we're going to get you scheduled for an x-ray. I was like, okay, I need something. 2 weeks goes by, nothing. No call back, no nothing. I called again. I was like, I need something done. Oh, we'll schedule you for an x-ray. Nothing. It just kept doing it, and I would email the doctor, and I'll get with the nurse. I'll get with the nurse. I'll get with the nurse. She would never step in and do anything. It took a month or two until they actually got me in to do an x-ray. And I told them, I was like, I don't need a damn x-ray. It's a muscle thing that's swollen. It's not broken, it's swollen. I need an MRI. We got to do an x-ray. I didn't get a call back after I did the x-ray. 2 weeks goes by.
Jesus.
I call in, I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, oh, there was nothing on your scan, so we didn't. I was like, I didn't need an x-ray. I was like, that's ridiculous. So they finally got me an MRI, and I tore ligaments in my knee. And they were like scar tissue growing around it.
Right, because it'd been 3 months.
Yeah, and she was fired not too long after that. When I told my psychologist, like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is the reason veterans are in so much pain all the time because of people like this.
And so then it did start changing.
Yeah, it did start changing. I have an awesome doctor now. He will randomly call me just to check in. Like my psych doctor, I've been seeing him since 2013.
But he's in the VA.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he only has a few patients.
Got it.
So he's travels so much for it now and doing classes and stuff. But yeah, he's awesome. And it's guys like him and guys like my new doctor that actually give hope to a lot of the veterans. I mean, I can't remember the guy's name, but I know there's a story in Texas. This guy showed up to the VA. This is years ago. Showed up to the VA and he's like, I need to see somebody now. They're like, you need to make an appointment. He's like, I need to see somebody now. They're like, you need to make an appointment. Walked out to his truck, grabbed his pistol, walked in, shot himself right in the head, right in the lobby. So that was the point when things changed.
Really?
Yeah. I know, I know Donald Trump made a big thing about that. Like he blew it up. Like I know it was in Texas. Ted Cruz or something was involved in it, and they got really involved. And that's when like your state senators and stuff like that were really getting involved with the VA to change stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, they've got a lot better programs now, and it helps a lot. The struggle that veterans are having mostly right now is just trying to find work.
Which is what you're helping with.
So that's my big push. I want to get veterans into work. There's so many qualities that we have that a normal person coming out of college is never going to have for another like 10 to 15 years. The structure, the willingness to actually work and shut the fuck up and work.
Yeah.
But for veterans to get jobs, when you get out of the military, all you have is your military experience. you've got so many other things that's going to make life easier, but that's all they see when they look at a resume is like,
Right.
oh, you don't have any experience in this.
Right. It's figuring out how to translate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I got out and I was looking for a job, I applied to like 300 or 400 freaking positions.
For real?
And I got like 2 or 3 callbacks. Like, it was low-level stuff, too.
Really?
Yeah, I was not qualified for entry level. It was annoying.
Interesting.
And it's gotten a little bit better with certain companies, especially like bringing awareness to it. I know there's grants that companies get for hiring veterans,
Yeah.
and there's so many more like recruiting events for veterans that you could push, like the DAV and stuff like that. DAV is one of the biggest ones. They do them all across the country. They'll bring like 400 companies in to sit there, and you'll do panel interviews all day.
Oh, really?
Until you get a job.
Because I see it completely differently. Because like I see it like if I have somebody apply that has any type of military background, like I'm like, come in.
Yeah.
Like I want to talk to you more than I want to talk to anybody else. Now, what I will say is that I was surprised, and Daniel Rabowski and I have talked about this. I was actually really surprised because I made the mistake of assuming that all people coming out have a lot of the same qualities, and they fucking don't.
No.
Right? And that, but again, my ignorance, right? I don't know, right? I wasn't there. But like, I learned the hard way because I'm like, well, you came in here and said you had all this structure and you fucking did this and did that. I'm like, you don't do anything unless I fucking tell you to.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Like, oh, maybe that was how you were programmed and what you were doing. You know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't think about that. But my job isn't to sit here and tell you what to do all fucking day. Like, I have a job too. I got stuff to do. So that's an interesting kind of dynamic to that as well. Do you see that?
You do. It's kind of based off of like the job title they had. So
Yes.
If you're a grunt, you're an infantry guy.
Yes.
You're trained to take freaking initiative because if you don't, someone could die.
So they are trained to take initiative.
Yes.
Okay. Who's not? This fucking guy's not.
The majority of veterans are not combat veterans. The majority of veterans are admin, logistics, stuff like that. It's easy to see the ones that really committed to the veteran lifestyle and understanding the military lifestyle when you speak to them. They're personable. They are respectful.
Yes.
To this day, like I'm still yes sir, no sir.
Yeah.
Yes, yesterday, Mr. Like that's just who I am.
Yep.
I've always been that way because of the military. A lot of times when I meet veterans, they're so rough around the edges because they've never really had that like kick in the ass in the Marine Corps. Marine Corps is the toughest branch there is. There's hands down. People say we eat crayons. We don't eat crayons, just the flavored ones. But it's the hardest branch because every single Marine is the same. And the reason I say that is majority of branches, when you go through boot camp, when you go through your training and stuff to get into the regular fleet, you're not going through the same boot camp as everybody else. Like the Army, if you're an admin, you're not going to the same boot camp as somebody that's going to be in combat.
Oh.
It's completely different.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, you won't even handle a weapon if your job does not.
Really?
Yeah, if you're in the Army and Air Force and stuff like that, your job does not require you to carry a gun. You will not have quals.
How do you know what your job's already going to be?
So you that's how you sign your contract.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So when you're getting recruited and you get recruited in there, like they give you a list of jobs. You take a ASVAB. You take the ASVAB. I bombed my abs. Oh my gosh. I was so nervous.
Yeah.
Like I was like, all right, if I screw this up, I'm gonna.
But is it a pass fail or is it just a placement?
No, it's smart dumb.
Oh, it is a smart dumb. Oh, okay.
Smart dumb. Yeah. The lower the score, the worse. The less jobs that you have the opportunity to get. Like if you have a really, really good score, you could be an aerospace engineer or something in the military. Which is really cool. Like anybody asks me now, what branch should I join? Air Force. Go to the Air Force.
Why is that?
Greatest opportunity when you get out.
Got it. Okay.
Greatest opportunity.
Sure. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I looked at joining the police force when I got out. That's the only thing could translate directly to.
Yeah.
I was speaking with a recruiter and he's like, dude, you're going to be wasting your time. He's like, you were on a fast-paced team. You did all this, that, and the other. You're going to be bored out of your mind.
Oh, yeah.
And at this point, I already had 2 degrees, and he's like, you got to use that. Figure something else out.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what are you doing with the placement and trying to get these people to get jobs?
So I speak to a bunch of different companies and just try to get them to understand the different areas and avenues that they can take. And I have partnership organizations, like we have Charlotte Bridge Home, which is a huge one up in North Carolina, where veterans put their name in there like, hey, I'm looking for work. I can call and be like, all right, well, tell me what you want to do. And I can call around and I get them in front of people.
Got it.
Pretty much. The struggle that I have with it right now is that there's so many different ways you can do it. There's so many different companies that just have no clue
Yeah.
how to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
trying to find a time to get those people out.
What was the website that you sent me?
PTSD Foundation of America.
Okay, what's your tie with that? Because the first thing that I noticed was the first thing on the top of the list was Camp Hope.
Yep.
And when I was living in Texas for a couple of years, I met a really good guy, really a friend that was in recovery, but spends like all of his time at Camp Hope helping out all these guys that are staying there.
So PTSD Foundation's been around for about 15 years. Last time I checked and last conversation I had, they've helped over like 20,000 veterans.
Okay.
And out of recovery, out of prison, all that stuff. So what they do is like if you're a struggling veteran, whether it's PTSD, drugs, alcohol, anything it is, you can apply to go there, and they house you for 6 to 9 months in the Houston location. There's Arizona, Houston, San Antonio
For
Florida.
Camp Hope.
Yeah.
Or
Camp
for
Hope is in Houston.
Is in Houston. Yeah.
PTSD
Okay.
Foundation has footholds in
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
multiple different places.
Got it.
But yeah, Camp Hope's the only one that actually houses them, and they put them through training. They put them through substance abuse classes. They put them through like PTSD therapy classes.
Yeah.
I got involved with them with my previous company that I was working with. They actually kind of helped start the PTSD Foundation, and it was sucky story, but he I guess one of the guys that worked for camp back in the day when it first started, he didn't show up to work, and his dad couldn't find him, and no one knew where he was. They showed up at his house. He committed suicide. So it was one of those moments like, we got to do something. It's like an oh shit moment. So they started working on this, and they brought it to where it's at right now. And
Really?
it's awesome. So I got to go to, when I was with that company, I was one of their keynote speakers on my recovery, my injuries and the life I grew up with and stuff. And it's the first time I've ever been on stage and cried, because it got real deep. It got real deep. And biggest mistake I ever made, it was a barbecue cook-off event. I was like, yeah, I'll be a judge. My fingers were so swollen because of the salt. I ate everything because I like food.
Yeah.
It was so bad. But yeah, I got involved with them, and I've been involved with them ever since. My main contact with them is Doug Brown. He works with Graystar.
Really?
Amazing dude.
That's a good contact to have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing dude, man. He dedicates a lot of his time to that, to getting these guys
awesome.
there. And when I was there for this, I got to spend an entire day on Camp Hope, and I went through some of their therapy sessions and stuff. And I got to give my insight to some of these guys, and like it was surreal for me because I was in their shoes not long ago.
Yeah.
Like I was struggling just as bad as they are, and I'm here, so I'm able to help. And it just, I guess it's moments like that you look at and you're like, all right, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing something.
And that's why you were spared.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I'm here for that. There's 100%. A reason.
Yeah.
I would say also being a father.
Fair.
I never wanted kids.
No?
No. The way I grew up, you didn't.
Okay, that's fair.
I didn't
no, that makes
sense. I didn't want to go through that.
Yeah.
But when my son was around, it was just like
Most amazing thing in the world, right?
Dude.
Yeah.
The way he looks at me.
Yeah.
Like when I pick him up from school, he runs up and jumps in my arms.
Yeah.
He's 6 years old still. I'm like, this is the greatest thing.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there talking about it. I was like, you know what sucks is in the future, this isn't going to happen. He's not going to run up to me anymore. He's going to walk up and shake my hand. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
That's hard.
I know. I got it. Mine's a little girl, and like.
Yeah. That's my biggest fear right now is this little girl.
Yeah, man.
I'm protective. I'm very protective.
Yeah.
Everybody that was around us was like, when she's born, like, you're going to change. Everything's going to change.
And you do, right?
Oh, my God, yeah.
Like, dude, I completely changed. Like,
my daughter and my son could be sitting right in front of me, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, hi, baby girl.
Yeah.
And my son says, I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
It's two completely
get
different.
your shit together. Yeah.
It's two.
Baby, what do you need?
Yeah, it's two completely different things. Like I never wanted to want anything ever, and that's my biggest thing.
And that's my biggest fear, because like I'm not setting her up to win.
Yeah,
like I would if it
that.
was a boy, right? Like I'm enabling her to be a fucking housewife. You know what I mean? Like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but like I want her to be able to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
If that's what she, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like I struggle with that all the time, right? Because like I had to work for everything that I fucking have, and she doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? She fucking asks me, and I say yes, generally, right? And I'm afraid that I'm doing her a disservice.
She's 6, right?
9.
Oh, God.
9, yeah. But she still loves me. She still fucking runs up and jumps into my arms at 9, right? Like, I come home from a trip like this, and I'll show up and surprise her at soccer practice, and she'll fucking see me, and, you know. But, like, I worry about that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I worry about that, like, how we're I feel like we're getting to an age now, or at least like maybe now I can start pushing her a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, now our conversations revolve around, like, for instance, we went out, we're building a house. And it's they just poured. They're going to start framing whatever this week. And we're out there, and she sees the garages lined up, right? And she was like, well, that's yours, and that's mommy's, and then that'll be mine. And I'm like, the fuck you mean that'll be yours? And she's like, what? Well, I mean, that it's empty. That can be for me. And I'm like, you ain't fucking earned a garage. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I parked my fucking truck outside
But Dad.
my entire life. It didn't have any carpet in the fucking ceiling. It was cold as fuck, and I'd have to warm it up for 8 hours before I could drive to school. I was like, you're going to earn that fucking garage if you want to park inside. And like, that was that was one of the first moments where I was like, all right, now I got to start teaching her.
Yeah.
Like, you got to earn shit. You don't just get shit because dad has something.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I've always had the mindset, like, you have to teach every child should know certain things in life when it comes to like growing up.
Yeah.
Change a tire, shit like
Right.
it doesn't matter the gender.
Right.
I made the joke. My wife hates when I say this. I always make the joke like, you better teach your boys, your sons, to be respectful to women, because my daughter's gonna know click clack real quick. she's gonna know how to do it. That's my thing.
now that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's our job.
I want her to be raised. Not that she has to want anything, but knows how to get it.
Yes.
And works hard to get it.
Yes, 100%.
So with my son, he's going to be the hardest worker I've ever met in my life.
Right.
I'm so tough on him, so hard on him. I hate complaining. That's my biggest thing.
Oh, it drives me
growing
crazy.
up, I couldn't complain. I'd get the hell beat out of me growing up if I complained
Yeah.
about something.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I don't want to hear you complain. You have it so freaking good.
Yeah.
And I screwed up with him when he was younger, though, because I would buy him stuff all the time.
Right.
He was spoiled. We'd go to the store, and he's like, Daddy, can I have that? I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And then I remember picking him up from school one day, and he looks at me. He's like, Daddy, you have something for me? I was like, excuse me? And then I had to sit back and think. I was like, I did this.
I
created this.
Yeah. I got to correct it.
And it's crazy how this is the thing with the daughter is, someone told me, like, you are her first love. The first male figure in her life.
Right.
Every relationship she has is going to be based off of the relationship you have and what she sees from you.
Yep.
So for me, it's like, I have no choice but to be a better man, a better husband.
Yes.
Like, I have to be a better person because I don't want her to end up with a shitbag.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shitbags.
Well, and my thing is, I thank God that she only knows me as who I am now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She's never had to see drunk Eric. She's never had to see crazy Eric. She's never had to see the person like hurt other people and, put other people through pain and trauma and all that shit. Like, she only knows me as that human that I am today. And like, I'm so grateful, for that, which to your point, like, makes me wake up every day and be like, I got to fucking show up.
Absolutely.
Right? I got to show up, if not for anybody, for her.
Yeah.
Cause like, that's the only fucking thing that matters. I don't know if you've seen that clip with, Deadpool guy.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds on, I don't know what show he was on.
I
But
will throw.
yes. And like, me and my wife both say it now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
honey, I'm like, I love you, but like, I'll fucking kick you in front of a goddamn bus to save her. And
Yeah.
she just looks at me and she goes, same.
Yeah. My wife she's such a passive person.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's a lot more protective than what I expect her to be.
Oh.
Because I'm the protector.
Yeah.
Like, my wife, she's a gentlewoman. She is the
Oh.
nicest person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And if you put her next to the women that I used to date in my
Yeah.
life, you would never in a million years think that that's the one I ended up with.
Right.
If you had tattoos, fake lips, fake tits, and daddy issues, that was me. Like, I loved you.
That's the best ones. Yeah.
They're the fun ones.
Yeah.
But for the
They're the
long
crazy
haul,
ones. Yeah,
that was the thing. And it was a lot of like
that's the
toxicity,
20s,
man.
That's the 20s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of toxicity through that stuff. And then when I met my wife, I was just like, all right, so this is what's got to happen. This is my life. This is what I have. You're either in, you're out.
Yep.
She's like, all right, let's make it work. And I was like, wait, what? And I mean, I went through everything, my entire past, everything.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot to unpack. This is when I really first started talking about some of the trauma in my life.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned before, I never liked talking about it. But she learned it the first date. The first date.
Wow.
Everything.
And stuck around.
Yeah. She showed up at my house that night. We had dinner and we had wine and watched a movie.
That's pretty cool.
Fell in love, and it was right before COVID hit.
Oh.
Right before COVID, so it was like 2-3 months. It was in February,
Yeah.
right before Valentine's Day.
Yep.
And the best part about it was there was no one else to interfere in our relationship.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
everything was closed. Everybody's working from home.
Yeah.
I never met her friends at that point. So it was like for the first time I actually got to know somebody.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a physical thing. It was just like, I mean, she's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'll say that. But it was more of like, she wanted to know who I was on an emotional level, and I've never had that before.
That's cool.
So for her, it was just like, that was a great choice that I made.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you're so lucky to have. I'm like, yeah, you have no idea how lucky I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't know what I went through to get there.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I lost my camera. Sorry, Lexi, my camera went out. All right, well, hey, at the end of the episode, I always like to give the floor back to the guest to make sure that if there was anything that I glossed over, I missed, we didn't dig into well enough, that you want to make sure you leave me or the audience with, like, this is your time, this is your moment to say whatever you want.
Big thing for me is whenever I'm asked a question like that is reach out to a veteran. It doesn't matter if you think he's doing okay. The ones that you think they're okay, the ones that are happiest are probably the ones hurting the most.
Check in.
Same thing with like what Robin Williams said. He's like, he's a comedian. He was so used to making people laugh, he forgot to laugh himself. And that's a thing for veterans is I will do everything every veteran will do what they can to help another veteran, but they won't worry about themselves.
Right.
Until someone reaches out and tries to help them.
Right.
So if you have a veteran in your life, you have somebody that is first responders, anything like that, doesn't matter if you think they're okay or not, reach out, just check on them. Buddy checks, it's what it's called.
Love that. Matthew, thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. This has been a great episode. You're the first one here that's went an hour.
Oh.
That means it was good.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually kicking people off in 30 to 45. So this was awesome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you didn't get anything out of this, you're fucking an idiot. Please, if you're looking for a group of men to level up with and have people to talk to, we have accountability calls twice a month. We've got amazing dudes in there. You need to surround yourself with better people. And if you don't feel like you're surrounding yourself with good people and better people, reach out, check out the community. We'd love to interview you and see if you'd be a fit there. cultcultureprogram.com, or just reach out to me directly and we'll set something up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. And remember, everybody, to be authentic or get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Yeah. Swipes.